Hi, how's everybody doing? Let's see. Oh, did I go the wrong way? Hold on. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we're talking about mind shift, and I found this video that I'm going to play. Has anybody seen this yet? It's going around the internet. Put your hands. Okay. To me, this kid you're going to witness a mind shift, right? This kid in like 30 or 40 seconds is going to blow your mind. So we're going to start because I think it sets it.
I feel.
Do you feel alive?
I feel happy of myself.
I feel happy of yourself too. What do you got? Any words of wisdom? What about for all the other kids trying to learn how to ride their bike? Can you say anything to them?
Everybody, I know you can believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you will know how to ride a bike. If you don't, you just keep practicing. You won't get the hang of it, I know it. If you keep practicing, you will get the hang of it, and then you can get better and better at it if you do it.
Give me some thumbs up.
Thumbs up, everybody!
All right.
For rock and roll!
Isn't that kid awesome? That kid is awesome. I mean, I bet you we'll see him in Long Beach next year at TED. I mean, the kid is great. So, I mean, he may become, the next best thing in the world. I don't know what he's going to become, but he's just awesome. So anyway, that's me in 1980. And I feel like the guy who just went before me is like, he did the same thing. But anyway, but that's me in 1980. And I was 11 years old. And when that picture, about a month or so before that picture was taken, I had a life-changing event. Something that changed my life forever. And just curious, how many people think something terrible happened to me? Come on, be honest. Right? Something terrible, right? So like something horrible must have happened. One of these things, right? Because that's how we think, isn't it? Right? We think that something terrible must have happened to somebody for there to be a life-changing event, right? So I did a little bit of thinking about this, and I'm going to tell you what it is. I'll get to it in a second. But there's a word, schadenfreude. Has anybody heard this word? It's a great word. We don't have a word in the English language for this, but the Germans do. And basically what it means is that we get pleasure watching people suffer. Okay? So do you remember this guy? We watched him literally go up in flames, but we were riveted to the television, and every time we heard that something was going to be said about him, we were hoping it was going to be worse. Right? We were hoping that the next thing out of his mouth was just going to destroy him even more. And it's fascinating, right? We just, it makes us happy. And so there's a theory called the social comparison theory, which is really interesting. It basically says that when people around us have bad luck, we feel much better about ourselves. And it's normal. We all do it. I mean, how many people have watched What Happened in Joplin, right? And you're like, oh my God, I mean, it's terrible, but you secretly say, thank God it didn't happen here. I'm so happy it didn't happen to me. I still have my house, I still have everything. Or I remember my brother once said, every time he flies, and this is horrible, but if there's a plane crash before he flies, he's like, oh good, I'm okay, because statistically I'm fine, right? So it's really interesting. So I did a little bit more digging, and I found this study that was done in Japan in 2009, which basically is your gain is my pain and your pain is my gain. So let's say we took this guy, we put him in front of, I hooked all your brains up to a computer, and I was measuring all your brain waves. And we put this guy up in front of you, and I said, he just won $11 million. Aren't you happy for him? And what would happen in your brain? All the pain centers in your brain would light up. In fact, the same part of your brain that shows physical pain is lighting up, and you actually feel physical pain from the envy of this guy, right? So then I say, oh, hey, guess what? He has 6 months to live. What happens? You jump for joy because you were immediately happy. You're happy because the other part of your brain that shows reward, where shows actually it's the place that shows financial reward, lights up. So we really love to watch people suffer, and we feel pain when they do well, and we feel happy when they fail. It's kind of twisted. But it's the human condition. It's sort of the way we've been for years. So hold that here somewhere, and I'll tell the story. So there's me. It's fascinating to look at that, because I don't think I look anything like that. So I was 11 years old, 6th grade, I got to school early one day, and it was kind of empty. There wasn't a lot of people there, and I don't know why I got there early. I grew up in Boston, so I had a big winter coat on. I had my books. I had bedhead, and I'm walking through the class, through the hallways, and I hear music in a classroom. So I'm somewhat intrigued, and I open the door, and standing in the front of the room are 2 other 6th graders. And while they're 6th graders, they were huge to me. They just seemed like big kids, both in physical stature and in attitude. And they were hovered over a record player. And I put this up because I think it's important for anybody under 40 to know what a record player is. See, this is a round disc, and you put a piece of vinyl, and you put a needle on it, and music comes out of here. So at least when I was a kid, that's what they looked like. So they're sitting there hovering over it, and it's kind of interesting, and the music had stopped. And the 2 guys, I'll remember them. Doug Shanley was one of the guys, and Roy Nelson was the other. This is 30 years ago. And so something significant must have happened. So Roy looks to me and he says, you have to listen to it. You have to listen to this. This is the future. And so he proceeded to put the music on, and it was 1 minute and 42 seconds, and the wind was sucked out of me. I dropped my books, I dropped my jaw, and I heard what I believe are the most mind-blowing sounds I'd ever heard in my life. It was visceral. My heart was beating, I had goosebumps, I was sweating, it was insane, and it was over like that. And I looked, and I said, what was that? And Doug turns to me, and he says, it was Eddie Van Halen. So, sorry, there's no video. So there he is. It fades out, it fades out. Does everybody know what that is? Has everybody heard that before? All right, well, in 1980, I'd never heard it before. And it was, like I said, it was insane. I'd never heard anything like that. And we sat there and we played it over and over and over until the bell rang. Just 3 of us just listening to the future, basically. And it was an interesting moment, one that I can look back on and now realize that it was a pinnacle point in my life. It shifted who I am, because at that moment, I realized that I wanted to play music and I wanted to play guitar. It really happened to me. And what happened was I had an emotional response. And I'm not going to get too scientific because I'm not scientific. But emotions are chemical reactions in the brain. We have emotions for all different reasons. And basically what happens is synapse fire, right? Some stimuli is in front of us. We have some sort of chemical reaction, and we get a feeling. We get an emotion from that. And so they're vital for our lives. We need them, right? We need anger to set boundaries, grief to deal with loss, fear to protect us from danger. And we actually have, and I didn't know this, there's a woman by the name of Candace Pert, and she is a pharmacologist, and she says there's 3,600 chemical reactions for 3,600 emotions. I can probably name as many emotions as I can colors. And I don't mean that big Crayola box, I mean the small one. Sienna is not a color. So anyway, so what happened to me was a life-changing moment. And remember, I said, did something terrible happen to me? Well, nothing terrible happened to me. Something amazing happened to me. And I did it. I dropped taking piano lessons. I started playing guitar. I started a band when I was 11. And I became the bass player, as you can see as a bass. And as anybody who's been in bands, the lesser guitar player becomes the bass player. But I wanted to be the best bass player I could be. Thank you. My man, thank you. And I went on, and this band played all over the East Coast. We played to thousands of people. We made recordings. We did videos. We did the whole thing. I did it all through college. I worked at the best music store in Boston all throughout college. I spent all my money on CDs and concerts and T-shirts and merchandise. My CD collection was ridiculous. What happened was music became literally a part of me. It wasn't, oh, you're passionate about music. Yes, I am, but it really did become a part of me. And so what I believe is that the chemical reaction in my brain said, you're going to go down this path. And so I followed it because I was 11 and I was naive. And I was open to wonder, and I had no judgment in my head. What would have happened if I heard that song when I was 25? Would I have taken up the guitar? What would happen if you went to the ballet and you're 30 years old and you see a dancer, and you're moved by it and you get goosebumps and you feel amazing by it and you say, I want to take dance lessons. Would you take them? Probably not, right? Because this is what's going to come into your brain. You're going to all of a sudden have this physical chemical reaction in your brain that says something great is going to happen, follow this path, but our judgment comes in and it says you can't Why would you want to do that? That's ridiculous. It's irresponsible of you. And what happens is, this is what happens in your brain. You deny your feelings, and it creates an inner conflict. Candace Pert goes on to say that if we don't process our emotions and we don't really kind of follow our dreams and all those sort of things that you want to talk about, it actually becomes toxic. And it leads to stress, it leads to headaches, it leads to depression, and it leads to all these things. And that's really what I'm talking about today. And that is that we deny our feelings. And why do we deny our feelings? Because, and I'm getting to it, is that we're inundated with negativity. You saw in the beginning, I mean, the Germans have a word for how we love the misery of others. We are inundated with terrible news. I mean, I haven't watched the evening news in 5 years. Does anybody watch the news here? Right? It's just horrible. You're not horrible people, but the news is horrible. I mean, you can't turn on the TV right now and not hear about Wienergate, which is awesome. You can't, I mean, I'm not a stand-up comic, but I mean, there's so many jokes. But, you know, there's Wienergate, there's, you know, Schwarzenegger, there's what's going on in Syria is horrible. And because we are so inundated and overwhelmed with it, that it blocks us. It blocks us from noticing these small moments. What happened to me a long, long time ago was a small moment. And it was the 80s, so there was basic cable, there was no internet. I didn't know what was going on in the world, so I was full of wonder and I was okay with it. But now we're blocked. And so I ask you, can you remember the last time you got goosebumps? Can you remember the last time you had an emotion that literally created a chemical reaction and said, go down this path and feel good and focus on it and process it? And if we do that, if we start to, those are my kids, and if you do that, I'll explain that in a second. If you do that, so many wonderful things can happen. And I know there's all these books, don't sweat the small stuff, and all this type of stuff, but I truly believe that we are blinded by these little events that could significantly change our lives. It did for me. I don't know what I would be doing right now if that hadn't happened. I mean, maybe it was fate, maybe it was in the stars, I don't know, but I'm supposed to love music, and I do. So I got goosebumps when I saw that picture. I never knew that happened until I picked up the camera and plugged it into iPhoto, and that came up. And it turned out that the babysitter found some shaving cream, and my boys went nuts. And what did it for me is his name is Tegan, his face. He is so in love with his brother, and he is so happy that it brought tears to my eyes, because brothers can fight, but this was not a fighting moment. And yeah, but they fight. And then I finally saw Rush play. I finally saw them. I never saw Rush. And it was last year, and it was at the Gibson Amphitheater. Every time they came to town, I had a gig. So I was so happy to see them. And they opened up with Spirit of the Radio. They did Moving Pictures. I don't know if you guys know that album, but they did it full, all the way through. And as soon as the lights went down and they came on, I almost started crying. It was an amazing, I don't know if it's because I longed for my youth or the music was too loud, but it was visceral. I had a feeling. And what if I hadn't played music? What if I wasn't a guitar player there? Maybe that moment I'd say, Jesus, I gotta do this. Like something was happening to me. And I need to follow that path. So I call this is real quick. This is my wife's, this isn't mine. I asked my wife when she got goosebumps, and she said, when they got married. And I said, why? And she said, because the world was just falling apart. And this gave me hope and happiness. And I said, and she says, and I've always wanted to have a fairy tale life. So I said, okay, good. So I said, maybe it'll happen, I don't know. But I call these moments of note. These are the moments that we need to pay attention to. They're small, right? I found a picture of my kids. I mean, we find pictures of our kids all the time, but it did something to me. And so I focused on that feeling. And I said, well, where's this supposed to take me? And it took me to help them cultivate a wonderful relationship. I saw Rush. I don't really know what path it was going to take me down, but it reinstated the fact that I love music and it's important to me. And we can have a moment of note at any time. You could read a great book. You could watch a movie. You can eat a cupcake, right, and feel so happy. And there's cupcakes all over that wall. And or you could go for a run. You haven't gone running ever in your life, and you go for a short run, and afterwards you get a runner's high, and you feel so good and happy with yourself. You feel happy of yourself, like that boy in the beginning. And next thing you know, you're like, I'm going to run a 5K. Well, instead of that judgment coming into your brain saying, you can't do it, what's to stop you? And that's what we do. We stop ourselves from doing it. And if we did it, then we would start to layer on the good paths, the good hobbies. You don't have to be a marathon runner. You don't have to run a 4-minute mile. You just have to do it. And so that's the mind shift that I'm asking all of you to do, is that turn off the news. Don't pay attention to all the big things. we can feel really happy about ourselves. We can have all these great feelings. Yes, we're still going to have the negative feelings, and we should have them and process them and learn from them. But when we have these, we don't process them and learn from them. We just say, oh yeah, I feel happy today, versus, oh my God, I feel so sad. Louis C.K. does this bit on, he's a comedian, he's brilliant. He does this bit on when people come to your house, they go on a long flight, and they come into your house, and you're so happy to see them, what do? They complain about the flight. Oh my God, we sat on the runway forever. The food was terrible, because we focus on the bad things. You're so happy to see these relatives, but that's the first shit you hear. So it's really easy to remember the big bad times. It is, because we have it in the news and all that type of stuff. I'm saying take note of the small good times and remember how you feel. See how you felt in that moment. Maybe it will take you down a new path. Don't fight it. Start a hobby. Do something fun. Be fulfilled. And I think, oh yeah, I have one more slide after this. This is great. As I said in the beginning, an emotion is a chemical reaction. I believe that as soon as you have that emotion, there's a chemical reaction that says, go this way, right? And I just love saying it. The emotion can literally change your mind. It can change the way that you think, the way that you move, the way you go in your life. So I'm ending with that, but I have this one last slide. So in 1980, I'm sitting in a room with these two guys, Doug Shanley and Roy Nelson. And many years later, I realized that this is a moment in my life that changed my life forever. And I thought, well, there were 3 little boys in that room. I wonder what happened to the other 2 guys. And that's them. I found this picture on the internet. That's Doug, that's Roy. And they're in a tribute band to Motorhead. So I'm getting goosebumps right now. And I have to believe that something happened in that room to all 3 of us, right? I mean, I sold him his first bass when I was a freshman in high school. And I mean, look at Doug. I mean, that's the epitome of rock and roll. These guys are 42 years old. This is awesome, right? They are doing exactly what they want to do. Yeah, they got day jobs, but they're doing it. So if they can do it, anybody can do it. Thank you.